Friday morning, I went on a bike ride. I took a sharp turn and went into the gravel and crashed, and I broke a rib. Hi, everyone. Welcome to our podcast, Running Your Best Life. My name is Victor Vizcaíno, and with me is my co-host, Adele. And today we are going to talk about that bike crash and how how am I dealing with it?
Right.
And that's what we're going to talk about because it just happened. I was getting ready for a triathlon, a 70.3 in September, and now things are going to change as far as the training is concerned because it's about an 8-week recovery time.
Mhm. Yeah. Well, Victor, I tell you, I was so sorry to hear that this happened because I want to tell our viewers this happened the day before you were actually going to celebrate with your family for your birthday at a water park. So it also affected things in your personal life, not just your training for your fitness and your triathlon life. Why don't you tell us just how everything happened? Kind of walk us through the incident that when you fell off the bike and had the injury occur.
Absolutely. So Friday, I was going to get my workouts out of the way so that I can get ready. I was in charge of making our salsa for our potluck for the birthday. So I was going to make sure that I got my workout done early in the morning. I think it was around 6 o'clock in the morning when I left the house. I was already on the way back from my bike ride. I took this one sharp turn and I it grabbed the gravel, and at first I thought, okay, once it grabs the gravel, I think I should be able to slow down easily, but the gravel was deep, so it just sunk in the gravel and out I went on the pavement, and it was painful. It was painful, but
Oh,
at first I thought, I think I'm going to be okay because I don't see a lot of blood or anything like that. Even the road rash was very minimal.
mhm.
I thought, oh, I might be okay. It felt really bad, but I think I'm going to be okay. And
Okay.
just shook up, and a lot of thoughts are going through my head. One of them is like, I don't want to do this anymore. And the reverse is like I was so bummed out,
Well, if
and
you don't do it anymore, how do you get back home? And how far did you have to go to get back to? I think you were at Sherry's house. How far did you have to
yeah,
go to get?
I rode out of Sherry's house, so I had 8 miles to go,
Uh,
and I thought, and I'm still worried about the speed. Like I need to be going faster, but and then the mind would go like, yeah, but you can't. You're in pain. Don't worry
right,
about it.
right, right,
Because I
right.
remember stopping to fix my watch, and then my watch also it said, "Are you okay?"
Your watch.
Because
Okay,
it was
good. So it's got the
yes,
alert on it. Okay, great.
yeah. The Apple Watch has the alert when it detects when you're taking a fall. So it
Okay,
asked me, it was under SOS, "Are you okay?" And I pressed, "I'm okay," and then it prompted me to answer whether I fallen and I'm okay, and I forgot what the other prompts were. So I pushed the prompt where I fell, but I'm okay.
okay. See, that's a good comment to our viewers too. Y'all, if y'all use any of that technology, I think Victor, you can set it if you do have an emergency. It alerts someone on your as an emergency contact. But the key is that something's checking in on you without you even realizing it, which is a
Yeah,
great
I think it's
opportunity.
a really
Yeah,
good feature, especially for if you're riding your bike by yourself and
right,
you happen to go over a cliff or something like that, where you're up unconscious,
right, right, right,
and there's no way of you calling that. The Apple Watch would probably it's kind of like that thing on the cars that will has the it
right,
detects when someone crashes.
right.
It's kind of the same thing with the Apple Watch, and I think it's a good feature to
Yeah.
have for extra safety.
Yeah,
Mhm.
and a lot of endurance athletes, as we all know, are using a lot of good technology. This being one of the things you never really want to have to use on your technology, your phones, your anything, watches, anything you're using. Well, that's a good thing that you were okay and able to get back. When you got back, what did you do? Did you go through a process where you talked to Sherry that you needed some help doing anything, or did you just kind of keep it to yourself?
No, I did share with her what happened.
Okay.
and I told her my hands were in quite a bit of pain,
Okay.
but not too bad. And then I thought, okay, I'm going to take a shower, and hopefully after the shower, I'll start feeling better.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mm. And then I just decided I was going to take a nap. I'm going to take a nap because my body's all shook up. And that's when I started to feel my side was in a lot of
Mm.
pain getting
Right.
up from that. And I still thought it hard, and it's a lot of discomfort right now just from the being shook
Right.
up from the crash. But as I did go to well, that was just Friday night, so I still went home. I lay down. I was going through some pain while I was in
Yeah.
bed, but it kept getting a little worse. And then I did go to the water park with the family, and things started to feel even more pain. The side
Yeah.
was getting worse. My hand was swelling, and then that night was pretty bad to go to
Yeah.
sleep. It was the
Yeah.
side was getting worse, and by Monday I said, you know what, I'm going to go to the doctor. And everybody was telling me, but everybody was more worried about the hand because they didn't
Right.
realize just how painful my side was. But in
Right.
my mind, I was like, oh, something's wrong with this side, because
Yes.
I kind of suspected. But
It
I
could.
also thought they can't do anything about it, just from hearing from other athletes who had broken a rib.
Hmm.
Like, you can't do much treatment.
Yeah. The only thing you can do really, I don't know if they have any kind of good medicinal wrap. That it depends on how severe the
Yeah.
injury is. But I know that they can do some things to immobilize the core, depending on the seriousness of it. In your case, if it's just one rib and they want you to rest, they'll give you some good instructions on that. But I do have people that I know that have had horrible falls, firemen in responses to fires while they're working, and they're truly in a lot more serious injury under those circumstances, and there's a lot of things to do, but basically it's rest, and it's not bothering your breathing. I'm not noticing it bothering any of your breathing, like
No,
in or
not
out.
not right now. At the beginning, to take a deep breath,
Hmm.
I could feel the pain. And if I had to sneeze, oh my gosh, it really hurt. The coughing and sneezing was very painful.
Yeah. Well, you can't do that, so don't get a cold. I just want to know, were you able to make the salsa when you got up from your nap?
Yes, I actually did make really good salsa. I'm still having the salsa, very, very good.
Y'all remember that he made the salsa for the family. Okay, so he fulfilled his promise.
Chilaquiles.
Well, I
Yeah.
wanted to ask you, when the doctor gave you your diagnosis, how did you feel about that? Like going home, knowing that you're really in your last 8 to 9 weeks before a half Ironman event, that you've been really good training programs really for a long period of time without any setbacks. How did you deal with that kind of news, that it would be 6 to 8 weeks before he really wanted you to do anything?
I was pretty bummed out because, like
Okay.
I said, I had suspected that I could have a broken rib, but in the back of my mind, I was also hoping like they'd say, "Hey, there's nothing broken. You're probably just very sore." Right from the beginning, what the doctor said was that without a CAT scan to really tell if there's a broken rib, because sometimes they can't tell.
Okay.
But wherever they send the X-ray, they came and said, "Nope, they saw it. They see it. You have a broken rib, and it's going to be about 8 to 10 weeks, or 6 to 8 weeks. I forget if we were saying. I think it was 6 to 8 weeks."
Right.
Mm.
And
And
really, with your training right now, you'd be in your final month or so, 4 to 6 weeks of your heavy training, and then you'd be tapering just about the time it's 2 or 3 weeks prior to the event. And y'all, that's a huge change in training, much less being able to actually go and compete in the event. So I want to ask you about that, because we're talking a little bit about what your mindset was when the doctor said it's going to be that long, knowing you have a competition coming up. What was your first reaction? Were you just like, I'm not going to do this anymore, or I'm going to do it anyway. What did you react like? Because you're a coach, you're an experienced endurance athlete, an experienced competitor, because that affects how we react to things. How did you
Yeah.
react when the doctor told you that, knowing what you have coming up?
Uh, in a couple of ways. First, yes, I was feeling like, I don't want to do this anymore. There's a little bit of embarrassment that, like, how did I let this happen to me?
Mhm.
I'm supposed to do all these other things to inspire and motivate people, uh, and my followers, and then having to think, it's like, yeah, and here I am hurt. And yeah, at first I was like, I am not motivated for more triathlons right now. And slowly, as I became to accept that, hey, it's a broken rib, and I started to also remember other athletes in, that I've come across, including some of the friends, and having some really serious accidents where I'm talking to this one person at one of the Ironmans, and he had had a really bad accident, and he made it to the Ironman, and he's at the finish line. And I'm like, yeah, then I think just remembering the community that I have and the support that I have is like, hey, I'm not gonna, because I think I had a feeling of wanting to hide this. Like,
Right.
hey, I'm
Let's
just gonna
get
take
that.
it easy.
Yeah.
I don't have to.
Yeah.
Um, I'm just gonna take it easy and not. I could not tell anybody that I'm
Right.
hurt.
Right. Right.
But then the more I thought about it, it's like, no, this is probably one of the best things I can do, is because these are real things that happen to us as athletes. And sometimes it's things that happen outside of our training that are similar. And being able to share it right away, I started, because I had quite a few appointments with some of my masterminds. And the more I shared it, the better I started to feel, and the better attitude. It's like, oh, okay, I can do this. And I'm just not going to, like the doctor said, because I told the doctor too that I was training for a triathlon. And you'll still be able to finish, yeah, if it's 9 weeks away, but you're not going to PR.
Right, right.
He's like,
Well, and
yeah.
you just used an exact word that I was going to focus on a little bit later in our conversation, was how your attitude started to shift. And I think that's a huge factor on why we're actually here talking today about what happened with the accident and what you want to do with the next few weeks before your event. Because attitude is like the best part of where you are now, sharing the story, because there's a reason to share it, right? There's a
Yeah.
purpose behind it. And if you remember, I mean, I'm looking behind you, and the express your mission is your coaching mantra. And for y'all out there listening, expressing Victor's mission today is firsthand experience of how do you approach a setback, whether it's an injury or not. And one of the key things is attitude. And I'm going to let Victor explain a little bit about something he shared with me prior to us recording, about how he changed that mindset and that attitude to be present today, to share his experiences with all of us. So you're on, Victor.
Absolutely. And especially because I had a challenge that I was going to do
Mm-hmm.
starting on Monday that I had to cancel because I was going to do a bunch of preparation for it. And I didn't have the bandwidth to do it. I was in too much pain to even focus. And so I went ahead and canceled it, and just decided to postpone it. But then I thought, okay, then this is perfect. Because at first I was thinking, I don't know how I'm going to talk about these topics. Because one of the topics on the challenge was what keeps some people from
Right.
doing triathlons, and some of it is the fear. And here I was very afraid of continuing. I just fell off the bike, and then it just resonated with me how somebody could be very afraid of falling off the bike and doing these things. And then I just thought, you know what, this is an opportunity that um, that besides the pain and the fear of this happening again, you can overcome it with the
Right.
right attitude, the right support of people, and just having certain things that you learn to do your best to try to avoid it. But if we try to avoid everything, all the pains and all the discomforts that come with any kind of training, then we don't do anything.
Right.
Mhm.
And I think that's a key point, especially for our viewers. And y'all know both of our stories. We both had setbacks. We both have injuries. Age and experience teaches us all a lot. And if y'all remember, I shared having both shoulders repaired from injuries, from trauma. Um, and the very first time I did it was in 2012. And I was mentally fatigued and exhausted by the amount of time that I could not do a lot of stuff. So when I'd had a similar situation that needed shoulder repair, I was so mentally ready for the time invested to heal. And that was a learning experience. And I think that's something that we can all take away from Victor sharing today. He's definitely going to be set back from what his original training plan was for the next 6 to 8 weeks before he tapered a little bit before that half Ironman in September, right? Or October.
Yeah, September 21st
Yeah,
is
so we got about 9 weeks, I think is what we said. So y'all remember that those learning experiences, if you don't have to go through it, that's fantastic. And the longer you do the things you love to do, like train for your Ironman, run your marathons, do all the competitive tennis that I did, and everything else that we all have done, that Victor and I have shared, the biggest thing is that your mindset when you get through that initial fear or embarrassment or I'm not going to do this anymore, when you can find a way to let your body heal, it takes a lot of grace to find it. And I think Victor can probably validate that, because when you give your body and your mind and your spirit the grace it needs to heal, the time that you invest is the other component of that. And when you are allowing your body to relax enough for that amount of time, those little key moments of progress, when Victor's able to maybe do a little bit more movement without the discomfort, when he's able to maybe do a couple of arm lifts for weights, which he can't lift anything now, when he's able to do a little bit more walking because it's more comfortable rather than the breathing when he's walking. He's not going to get in the pool because you can't move the arms as much. He's not going to get on his bike because of the balance and the ability to maintain what he needs to do to just to cycle successfully, even slow. So the key is that the grace to heal both spiritually, mentally, emotionally allows the physical part and the time invested to go much better and much quicker because of the mindset and the attitude. And y'all, that's a huge component. And I think Victor, because it's only been a few days, he did a really quick shift, a very quick attitude shift. And I think that's a real tribute to him as a coach to allow himself to share this with you. And I wanted to share a couple other things too, because two of the things he mentioned to me was the fear that he of crashing, which is a very real fear for a lot of us, to get on a bike or do a run up and down hills for a marathon. But he also had support. And I think beyond just Sherry and the family, because it was a family celebration weekend for him, there were other people that came to your assistance as well, not just in conversation, but in true support from your fitness and your Team Blaze, your triathlon, but I think from your community. Am I correct?
Yes, you're absolutely right. And it's not just that they came, but I felt them even before they were there. Like I know they're there. Same thing with my followers. That when I communicated, I said, "Hey, I feel for a lot of them, and they feel for me. My family was very supportive. You, Adele, was very supportive. Everybody um, in my community, I can feel them already, even if they're not reaching out, because you start to remember what other people have gone through and how they overcame. And it's those years of having been in community, having talked to a lot of other athletes who were going through something similar, and then you remember, it's like, yeah, you're not the only one, and they're still there, and and they'll support you just like um, we were all there for other people. But I
Mhm.
think it did, it woke me up to feeling so grateful for the people that I have around, for everyone who does support me. And I think that it's a great lesson and also a great advantage for maybe somebody who's wanting to start to do triathlons, that having a bigger community that has similar
Mhm.
experiences. Everybody might have family, things like that, but when you have other people who have gone through things like that, or they know people and all these things that can happen, it does bring that little bit of more comfort
Right,
knowing that
right. I
uh,
think it takes away the fear of when you have a companion or the support of a team. I think it takes away the fear because other people are sharing and they're there with you a lot of times, even if you're on your own. I know you and Crystal and Ethan and Sam, all of y'all that we've introduced you to a lot of people that are in Victor's community, as well as some of the coaches, Derek and oh my gosh, Garcia. Oh my gosh.
yeah,
Um,
Marquez and Derek Garcia. They
Yes,
both.
yes,
Yes.
Marcus. Yes, I'm sorry. I'm apologize, Marcus. When you see this, I'm looking at that handsome face of yours. I couldn't remember the name. How you like that save, huh? But anyway, I think when you look back, we've all shared setbacks, and we've all shared reasons for those setbacks, and weren't all injuries. Some of them were family commitments that interfered with things where we had to really step in to do other things for the people in our immediate circle and family and community. But I think too one of the biggest things that Victor would like to let us know is how do you move forward? How do you move forward from here? It's not just the physical part of the training interruption that you have for your triathlon, but how do you move forward from this point with a good, positive, strong attitude, a better mindset than Friday and Saturday and Sunday when you're in so much pain. And actually, really, a really key point was when the doctor said it's going to be about 8 weeks and you're 9 weeks from your event. How do you move forward now that you're within that first week, but reassessing what you want to do in the next few weeks? I think time to do some other things, like to prepare for the challenge,
Yeah.
was a thing. How do you move forward from here, my friend?
Well, you make a good point, and it's a great question, Adele. Mhm. And let me start by saying that, before moving forward, I think it's the getting really a good perspective of where this is at, because, and that's when I was talking about the memories of other people who
Mhm.
might have had it worse, or maybe a diagnosis. And then when I think of all these things, I was like, well, mine isn't that bad. I it just, and putting it in perspective, it's not that bad. It's just, it is bummed out that I was training really hard and I had my mindset into achieving a certain goal. And as I become more and more accepting that, okay, I'm now in 9 weeks, I should be fine. I'll do the race. I'm not going to PR, but since I don't have that pressure right now of training really hard, it's just healing and working on other things. I'm working on that mindset challenge that I'm going to have. Work on that. I work on my content, working on even when I thought, I told you, hey, we should make the podcast around this that's
Right.
happening, since it's so real. And that's what I'm working on, is just really getting to the authenticity of being human and doing
And then
these
that's
things.
it. That is it. Being human, being a little fearful, being a little anxious and upset. But moving forward where you are right now is just a great place to share with all of us.
Yeah.
And I'll be very honest with you, y'all. I'm gonna be a little bit raw right here. I had a grandchild born 2 weeks ago, and I put a lot of things on hold on purpose leading into the month of July, knowing that my daughter was gonna have her baby around the middle of the month. And this was going to be a week to kind of get back to a few things a little bit more diligently, work on some things. And I'm just not. And I'll be very raw. Why? Because there were some other things that happened within the family, some other things that came up that needed my attention. And if I had gotten back to being as diligent and structured on what I was working on, I wouldn't have been able to attend to some of the other things that were going on in my family circle. And not that they were bad, they were positive, but there were some issues that needed my attention that would have been given in another direction. So that is encouraging me, listening to Victor before we recorded, but also understanding where he got to 4 days later, mentally and emotionally and perspective wise. And the biggest thing is attitude wise. I know that moving forward, taking the next few days where I'm going to be visiting family and doing a few things to kind of get through the next part of the transition with the new grandchild, that I'll be mentally and physically ready to devote that time and focus like Victor is, because now he's given that gift of time. He's given that gift of the parameters around what he normally does. So remember that you can take those shifts and put them to really good use, but give yourself the grace and time you need to get to that point, like Victor did. It only took him a few days, but he really got there, and now he's got a couple of weeks to work and really succeed in things he might not have had the amount of time to do, which is going to be great for all of us down the road, right?
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, I do have one other thing I wanted to ask you, and I think it's gonna be, as we get a little bit closer to finishing some of our sharing. What do you think would be your major lesson you personally have learned? And the second part of that is, what would be the biggest lesson you'd like to share moving forward for some of our participants and listeners, but also your clients from this experience? So twofold, one for you and one for the people that you're coaching.
I think the main lesson is probably the attitude
Mhm.
plays a big role. And I am not sure that where my attitude was before before I crashed, but I know it was having some negative thoughts here
Okay.
and there for different reasons and rushing. And just when I think that was the perspective that I got, is like, hey, just when you think things may be bad, they can get much worse really fast. And taking the time is like, and it's even for preventing an accident such as that. If you can, like, taking that turn, it would have been so easy. Just, you know what, slow on the turn, be safe, and you're going to save yourself a lot, a lot
Yeah,
of grief.
yeah.
But it goes to other things too, that, don't be in a hurry to get things done, just for the sake of getting them done. Take the time, enjoy the journey, and you're going to have much more. And even when things do happen, there's so much better when you have a much better attitude.
Mhm.
It helps you overcome it much quicker, and you're able to contribute much more and have empathy for others who are gone through what you're going through and have gone through maybe even worse things.
Right. And I think that's a huge point for y'all out there listening. And hopefully, it takes you many years to have experience a setback or an injury. As you start your journey. Remember, we've always said, lace up the shoes, do whatever it is you need to do, and just walk out your door and get started, right? No matter how simple that first step is, it's the first step. So just remember that sometimes it takes a lot of time to get to a point where you have to reevaluate who you are and why you're doing things. But the key is that you've got so many people like ourselves out there to help you through those tough times, right? Help you through figuring out, I can come back to my training. And also remember too, and Victor made a very big point of this just a little while ago, he may not PR in this next half Ironman, which would have been his ultimate goal, as we all have. I want to do even 1 second better. We always have that goal whenever we take on another competition. Or I want to win one more match when I was competing on the tennis court. I want to swim 200 more yards, whatever it is. But the key is that his mindset now is, hey, I'm hoping I can still show up. And if I can still show up, then I've worked hard enough to finish my competition, but the true victory that day will be to just be there and finish, right?
Yes.
And if he can't finish because the injuries get a little bit too great or he's not healed, showing up and giving it a try is probably the greatest success on that day. And we hope for that. We hope to see the finish line. But I think that's one of the key points is to always remember, allow yourself that perspective change and that attitude change, which gives you that much more strength to show up, which Victor is planning to do. So we're going to stay on top of this, y'all. We're going to stay completely on top of it.
Yes, yes, absolutely. And yeah, I think it's allowed me to take a breath, slow down, enjoy other things other than trying to beat the clock.
Right, right. Well, you got to remember too, y'all. He went to a water park. He was going to go on slides, and he wound up going into the lazy river, laying down like he really should have. And it hurt to get up, but he did it because he was with his family.
Yes. Yeah, yeah, still had an amazing time, despite the
Yeah,
pain. It was really nice.
yeah.
And
I think that's amazing. So, what would be your last thing to share as we move forward? And we have some great things coming up. I know you might want to share some of the things we have coming up as we close out our conversation today. Any key point that you want to make that we haven't already made?
no, I think that that's it. Just
Okay.
some of these things happen, but we overcome them. And if you have certain fears that are keeping you from doing a sport or signing up for training, that I don't think we should allow the fear to prevent us from doing what we want to do,
Right.
because
Right. Right.
I think staying in the safety zone can be worse
Right.
because you don't want to take that risk. And I think that I just have more sympathy right now. I can see how somebody would be afraid of
Mhm.
falling, and it's a very valid fear because we do get hurt, but it's not the end of the world, and there's a lot of things that we can do. I myself, the other lesson is just don't be overconfident when taking on those turns or doing an activity that you don't feel, you may not have it mastered, and just
Mhm.
having respect. Because even though I've done many triathlons, I still I don't go outside on the bike. My main sport is running. So
Right.
when I go on the bike, there's this attitude that, oh, I've done this many times. I start to get overconfident,
Right.
and that can get me into trouble just like it did.
And it's a control thing. It's a control thing. I love to go fast when I'm cycling down the tunnels, right? I mean, I'm just like, and what I've learned for safety reasons mainly is as I'm in that position and I'm pedaling, 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 I want to go as fast as I can, is the one thing that's in my mind repetitively is control, 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 because then I'm keeping myself safe. As fast as I'm going, I'm keeping myself safe for those couple of minutes that I'm going down and up and pushing to get up and breathe at the top of it. But it's a control thing, it's an attitude thing, and it is respecting what I'm doing. And like you said, respecting being on the bike, respecting being in the pool, respecting being on the street running. Respect what you're doing and keep the attitude strong. I did want to share one or two things with y'all, real, real quick. We have some wonderful, wonderful interviews coming up. Victor can tell you a little bit more about them. But y'all definitely stay on tap with the Running Your Best Life podcast. If you see it pop up that you've got the next event, the next episode coming up, I usually share it on Facebook. Victor's going to put all the links of different things in our show and in our show notes. But y'all stay on top of it. Victor's got some great people that we're going to be bringing on the podcast. You're going to hear from a lot of good things. I've got a lot of topics that we'll probably bring in to discuss on the marathon training and the marathon running. Um, because once the triathlon season ends, a lot of people transition to the running events or the competitive swimming events. Okay, so keep in touch with all the things we have coming up. All right, Victor. Anything else you want to let
No,
our
just yeah,
know
you
about?
said stay tuned for quite a bit. I have a nutritionist coming to our thing. It's our Team Blaze nutritionist, Kevin Stevens, who will be on the podcast talking about nutrition. I also want to start a technology based day where we can discuss some issues with technology, whether you're trying to hook up your Apple Watch to the training peaks or other issues. I know a
I
lot
will
of
not be on the teaching end of that podcast. I will be on the listening end, the learning
yes.
end. Y'all know that. I'm challenged.
And I am too. And that's kind of why I wanted to do in the podcast so that we can invite people that both have problems with the technology and maybe somebody who might have the solution. And even if we don't, we can just discuss just how maybe you're having difficulty, and maybe by the next episode we'll have some solutions for you. But the
Right,
thing is to bring them, and maybe we'll have the solutions right then and then. But if not, maybe we can all learn, because I am in the same boat. I not very good when it comes to technology, and I procrastinate learning from it. It's just like if something's working, don't mess with it.
right,
So
right.
that yeah, I don't venture out to try new technology, but I'm trying to. I'm going to.
Not me neither. But y'all, listen, contact us if you have any ideas about things that you really would like some information about, be it, physical training things. We've got all the coaching opportunities here for you. So the biggest thing is leave us a message. Victor picks up on a lot of that. And you'll have our contact information in the show notes as well. Shoot us a message. Let us know how things are going. And we'd love to know what you have coming up and any questions that we can address for you. We have lots of resources that we can address to get you the information that would help you be successful in your journey. And we're always hoping for that.
Awesome. Thank you, Adele. Thank you for being
Thank y'all
here,
so much.
audience for listening. And until next week, everybody have an awesome, enjoy the journey, stay safe, don't crash, and we'll see you soon.
Stay safe. And if you do crash, you have any setbacks, let us know. We'll give you some good information and be there for you if you need some support. My
Absolutely.
friend, take care of yourself, okay? I'll see you
Thank you.
soon.
You too.
Bye,
See you soon.
y'all. Have a great weekend. All right. Bye.